Hey, this is Hayden Gillum. Thanks for watching MotoAmerica on YouTube. Make sure to like and subscribe.
Last time, Mr. Consistency Jake Gagne continued his march to hold on to the #1 plate, doubling up at pit race, resulting in a 1-point championship lead, helped by a resurgent Matthew Schultz, who has regained his early season form despite a painful wrist injury. But the clock is ticking on the 2022 season. Can early season leader Denilo Petrucci find the pace to break Gagne's bid of back-to-back winning seasons? 660 miles, 264 laps, 16 races, 8 rounds have led us to this point in the championship. But what happens now? Lock in with us as Superbikes thunder through southern Jersey right now. Excitement's at an all-time high for the MotoAmerica AMA/FM North American Road Race Championship. This round, Superbikes at New Jersey as we're in Millville, New Jersey. And we are setting the stage for Medallia Superbike race #1, our 9th round of the season, which means we only have 4 races to go. And this time it's from New Jersey Motorsports Park. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the broadcast booth. I'm Greg White, standing alongside 2-time world champ Jason Pridmore. Jason, did you think we'd be this deep in the season and only have a 1-point difference in this championship?
Not after last season. I really didn't think so. I thought Jake Gagne would be impossible to beat, but it's been a little bit of a tale of two stories, really, when you look at it. Petrucci comes in, wins those first 2 rounds. We've seen them both struggle at times, but we got 1 point separating them.
Yeah, and it is incredible. Let's take a look at how this whole thing works itself out. So this season, obviously Gagne is 1 point ahead of Petrucci, but Jay, you talked about 2 different stories. Look at Gagne, 10 wins, 11 podiums, but for Petrucci, 4 wins, 14 podiums, but it's those DNFs that make the big difference.
Yeah, and that's the key, the DNFs there for Jake Gagne. And I think that what you want to look at, what we all want to see, is we want to see these 2 guys go head-to-head. That's what we're all looking for, especially with these last 2 rounds to go. But there's some other fast guys right now, Greg, and this grid is going to look a little different than we've seen in the past.
And one of those fast riders is Matthew Schultz, the #11, and he's with Hannah right now on the grid. Hi, Hannah.
Greg, Jason, Matthew Schultz could certainly play a significant factor in this championship if he's able to stick with those leaders. He's made some huge strides after kind of an up-and-down season. You got your footing back, had some great success, 2 podiums at the last round. How do you plan to keep that momentum going?
Yeah, I mean, Pittsburgh was really good for me. It looks like my race pace is good enough here to be battling for the top few spots. And, you know, I'm just really happy to be here racing again. I feel like we're getting better, and, you know, we kind of had a rough stint in the middle part of the season, but we seem to be finding our way back here. And, you know, Thursday, I signed my contract for the 2023 season to be back with the Westby team, so everything's good here, vibes are positive, so I hope you have a productive race.
Matthew Schultz feeling optimistic. Another rider who's looking to make his mark on this championship, throw his hat in the ring, if you will, is with Jamie Howe.
And that's PJ Jacobsen, Hannah, breaking up the Yamaha train. It is the first time we've seen a non-Yamaha motorcycle on pole all season long in the Tytler Cycles Racing BMW. It's also the first pole for BMW in North America on anything with 2 wheels. PJ, how do you capitalize on that today?
Yeah, it's pretty good. You know, it's been going quite good for us, you know, in every session. So, yeah, we're going to see what we can do in this race here. And, yeah, I'm just going to try my best. You know, I've been at this track for a long time, and it means a lot to me around here. So I got to figure it out and kind of put it all together if I can.
It's his home race, and that performance window is open, Greg.
Yeah, it certainly is. And PJ rode so hard. That bike was moving around, and he really put it down. And what's really impressive is when we see the lap times from qualifying. But right now, Jason, let's take a look at New Jersey Motorsports Park.
Yeah, fast track, Greg, even though it's not the longest on the schedule, as you can see. But down into turn 1, a lot of action, especially as this field heads down there. 3, 3B, 3C, that's all going to be tricky. And then up over the top of a little rise into fast turn 4. We got a ton of fans in those grandstands down in turn 5. Time you get to 7, 8, 9 on these Superbikes, Greg, those bikes will be spinning midway through the race all the way up that hill. And then 11A and 12. Can't tell you how important those are on that lead onto the front straightaway before this checkered flag.
All right, that's a look at our Yamaha track map, but Roger Hayden is one of our broadcast crew, and he gives us a more intimate look at NJMP on his Ducati Fast Lap.
Let's look at some spots on my Ducati V4S, starting with turn 1. Hard braking, most riders going back to 2nd gear. The hard part, though, is holding in line on the exit so the guy can't drive back underneath you. And then turn 4. A really fast right-hander, you let your momentum carry you out, put you on the inside for turn 5, where you can make a block pass into the tight left. And then the last corner, turn 12. a really fast right-hander leading onto the front straightaway. You could get a good run out of there. You could maybe make the draft before the finish line.
All right, thanks, Raj. Time for us to step away. Jake Gagne, Denilo Petrucci locked in a fierce battle. What's going to happen? We're 5 minutes from the race start.
Man, I don't know whether to talk about the racing or that hair you had in that photo shoot yesterday, dude. That was solid, my man. I mean, you've been going to Mazziato to get your work done? I mean, what?
I haven't got any work done.
Yeah, long hair don't care. Hey, that's the motto. Guy with the nicely, finely coiffed lid is P.J. Jacobson of that Tyler's BMW. A 120.10 is faster than a 120.13 with Cam Peterson. Peterson got some help from Gagne on his one flying lap, his one lap in the Q session. He was able to do it because he hadn't been that fast on it.
No, he got behind Jake there in qualifying, got a good lap in, and smart for him to way to work together as a team. And I'm sure that's what they were expecting, but I don't think they expected Cam to knock Jake off from second to third, which is not a huge deal. I mean, I think it's more important to get Cam up there and try to get somebody in between him and Denilo. But the big thing I want to look for in this race is the BMW. We've seen them fast. We've seen them on the front row. We've seen them on the podium, but kind of had a little help here and there. Can they have the podium pace today without, having a little bit of help? Can they do 20 solid laps? Like I said, we've seen them fast in qualifying, and but in the races, we haven't seen them have that really good race pace throughout. But we'll see if PJ, this home track's got a lot of momentum. He's riding the wheels off that bike. When you see him on track, I mean, it's just he's getting everything out of it. But can he do that for 20 laps and stay up?
So I'm not a poet, but we've seen them fast. Will we see them last? And what would be that pace that you think that would help them out? Like we saw the Supersport earlier, and without giving the race away, a fairly slow pace, a fairly slow race pace. If that's the case, that only helps PJ's cause, correct?
Yeah. Well, in that race was second and third. Throughout had a bit of a slow race pace. When the leader got in front, he got down to business. But I think for him, a good race pace would have to be at least in the 20s consistently from start to finish. The track temperature's up a little bit today, but you're just going to have to see those first couple laps. You'll know what the race pace is, but I'm assuming that he's going to need to be somewhere in the 20s.
How will that track temperature affect these riders? We'll see. You hear them talk about, race after race after race. When it starts getting hot, it starts getting a little greasy. The big question is that we saw is that rider, number 9, Denilo Petrucci, only behind 1 point in the championship. But as far as the setup of that bike, there are a lot of questions yet to be answered. And can he get things shut down going into turn 1? That seems to be his biggest nemesis.
And yeah, we've seen him run off track quite a few times this weekend into turn 1, and that's one of the biggest passing zones. So can he make a pass and make it stick? This track is not easy to pass up for him. So turn 1 is, one of the biggest passing zones, and he's had trouble getting her slowed down this weekend. So we'll see in the race. But he has a lot of experience. He's been around for a while, ex-MotoGP rider. He's going to know when the race starts where his limits are.
Wars HSBK Ducati New York rider Denilo Petrucci again. In those times he ran off, he was by himself. Now what does he do when he's trying to pass somebody? What does he do if he's just trying to hold off somebody pushing into turn 1? It's going to be very pivotal. And again, I guarantee you right now he's already thinking about going into turn 1, that first lap, and the laps will follow that as well. P.J. Jacobson, Cam Peterson, Jake Gagne on that front row of Superbike.
Medallia Superbike coverage is sponsored by Medallia, the pioneer in customer and employee experience. By Dunlop, the official tire of the MotoAmerica Championship Series. And by Geico, where 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on your car or motorcycle insurance.
Medallia Superbike race number 1 starting grid has the front row all doing 120.1s. It's PJ Jacobson, Cam Peterson, and Jake Gagne.
Yeah, and then we have Petrucci, Schultz, and Barbara on the second row. How about Hayden Gillum starting 7th here ahead of Jake Lewis, Dave Anthony, Ashton Yates, Travis Wyman, and Richie Escalante outside of row number 4. A little further back, Corey Alexander, Brandon Posh, Andrew Lee, Max Flinders, Danilo Lewis, and Jeff May. Ezra Bobby 800 on him. Isaiah Davis, Jeremy Coffey, Nolan Lampkin, and Jason Waters are going to be through row number 8. Then we have Zach Schumacher, Burke, and Butlers. Zach and Michael, father-son back there, getting ready to start their Superbike race here.
All right, so there is Denilo Petrucci coming in from MotoGP last year. He shows up on this Warhorse HSBK Racing Ducati New York Panigale V4R.
Has to get a good start from that second row. Yep, has to.
But he's got a mountain to climb because Jake Gagne, the #1, has got a lot of friends to put himself in between. Medallia Superbike Race 1. Here we go. And a good launch from our pole sitter, PJ Jacobson, on the right side of your screen, the 66. But how about Cameron Peterson, the 45? He's going to lead us into turn 1. And Petrucci gets a good launch, but he couldn't quite sneak up for 3rd, so he's going to have to settle for 5th.
Well, Schultze started from that second row as well, and he was able to beat Petrucci down there. So we're going to have Peterson leading the way over Gagne. PJ Jacobson got a decent launch, but the 2 attack bikes, Greg, just got off a little quicker. Schultz from that second row on the Westby bike did a nice job of slotting himself in there.
This is incredible. Cameron Peterson out front, having a good run at it, is the 45 on that Fresh Elite Progressive Yamaha R1 with his teammate in tow. And these two got hooked up during qualifying. And when they got that qualifying tire on, Jake Gagne told me that when he went out on that tire, that creates so much extra grip on the rear, he started to have front end problems. But it was Cam Peterson who beat his teammate by 1,000ths of a second. There goes up the inside. Oh, and almost contact as Cam P has a look over to see where Gagne. So Gagne forced the issue on that one.
Wow.
There wasn't a lot of room for Gagne to pass.
I'm sitting here thinking to myself, well, are we going to see someone else lead a first lap? And Gagne stomps that with authority going up through turn 9, and you can see, Greg, he is already trying to pull the pin and get away from these guys. They go through that last corner. This morning, when you text me, I was out watching the qualifying. These two rolled out together, and I couldn't understand why Jake didn't have a little bit more pace, but you just answered that question. He put that extra soft on there, and it was pushing the front. You're going to see this, that turn 9 section I talked about. In another 10 laps from now, they'll be spinning that tire going up that hill. But right now, new tires, lots of grip. Gagne turns that bike up underneath Peterson.
And you can tell from Cam Peterson, his look over the shoulder, it wasn't that Gagne quite had that wheel so Peterson could see it. So Cam Peterson a little surprised, but he's regathering it. Yeah, 100%. Cam Peterson's regathered, and now he's trying to close the gap to his teammate, but PJ Jacobson. You know, Jason, one thing we do know about PJ and about the Tytler's cycle BMW M1000RR is the fact that he can do one fast lap. The question is, as they continue to develop this motorcycle, it's new to the series, it's new to World Superbike, and of course this team is new as Jay. You're talking about riders going sideways.
Yeah.
That's sideways early on, but the question for us is going to become, how long is that rear tire going to last? Is PJ going to have rubber underneath him to continue this pace? Because you're talking about 3 Yamahas, 2 in front of PJ Jacobson and 1 behind him, that have years and years and years of development in the books.
Yeah, no, hey, look, these guys at Tytler's have done a tremendous job getting their riders up to pace. PJ Jacobson getting himself that pole position here was really impressive. So let's see if he can make that tire last. Jamie, what you got?
You asked a question about tire wear for PJ Jacobson. We talked about that. You know, that's one of the things that that team has really been developing over the course of this season. And their maximum was about 5 laps. After that, the performance went down so drastically they weren't able to have the same kind of motorcycle underneath them. But he said this weekend that seems to have opened up a little bit. They did do a long run during the practice session, got about 10 laps out of it. So he feels pretty confident in what this team has been able to develop alongside with Dunlop to be able to fight towards the end of this race, Hannah.
Jamie, just ahead of PJ Jacobson is Cameron Peterson, and I spoke to the team system analyst, Darren Marshall, and they made some big changes this morning, a strategy update for engine braking, and they balanced the amount of power for the race tire with a torque adjustment so that Cam can get off the tire and not spin so much more, have a little bit more power as he's getting back up to straight and down. But Cam said overall it was so much more rideable.
Oh, and Hector Barbera, unfortunately, as we talk about Tytler's, yeah, looks like he's got a problem with his machine. So Hector Barbera,
trying to see where that is on the racetrack, but yeah, too bad for Hector Barbera. You can see Gagne just trying to sneak away. How about a 20.3? 20.3 on race tires on the second flying lap this time through. Let's see if those times start to come up, but there's a red flag now. Greg, there's a red flag.
Yeah, I thought that was coming because Hector stopped on the racetrack. He is there. That's not in a great spot. Doesn't matter what corner it's in. But Jay, just, you know, to your point, a 120.076 is the lap record set last year here at NJMP in race 2 by Jake Gagne. And on his first lap there, first flying lap, he goes 120.3, just 3 ticks away from that lap record. So unfortunately for the Tytler's cycle rider, Hector Barbera, they're going to have to get this sorted out. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll get this red flag sorted out and get you back to racing soon.
Ouch. In the interest of safety, having to bring out the red flag again. Out there on a very important portion of the course, cannot clear that bike off. They're trying to refire it, but I mean, right now, just having that bike out there, Hector Barbera on the Tytler's BMW, something's not right.
Something's locked. I don't know if the front brake maybe or something adjusted.
Cable, yeah, because you saw him dabbing the back brakes. That means something felt like it's locked up to him one way or another. Looks like it's freed up there, though, but that brought it out. And it was unfortunate. Jake Gagne, that last lap, a 120.32, 39 for Cam Peterson. You know, you talked about the BMW. Would it make it last when we're talking about with Peterson or whoever on the BMW? We weren't even talking about this. I did see PJ spool it up one time. I mean, he was riding aggressive, trying to push to get by Cameron Peterson. Now this is a re-rack, restack kind of moment, Roger Hayden, with 18 laps to go. It's what Gagne didn't want. He had a 4/10 lead, then maybe a 5/10 lead this time around.
He was in a perfect spot. Had Denilo in 5th, a lot of Yamahas up there. It was really aggressive earlier. That was a really good pass even on Cam Peterson. That was aggressive, but you know, he had to, this place is tough to pass. I've mentioned it a lot this weekend. So whenever you see any little opportunity, you got to take it. And it looked like Cam looked over and seen that it was his teammate and kind of, you know, didn't really fight the issue.
If that was a red bike, he wouldn't have, he wouldn't look like that. You're telling me,
and
right?
You know what? I tell you, somebody who got a great start was Matthew Skoltz.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a great start. He doesn't always get very good starts. That
I was going to say, when was the last time you saw that happen?
I don't know, but that was a great start by him. And now when we do the restart, they're going to go back to the complete grid. Original start.
Who's that helped the most? Maybe Petrucci, probably, right? At least it puts him tighter, I would think. Because I looked at that being spread out and Denilo being back there a ways. I thought, man, this is everything Gagne could ask for, because you had Skoltz up in front, you had the other guy. I mean, but there was distance between 1st and 5th.
Yeah, there was a pretty big gap there back to 5th. So who knows? Maybe Denilo now can make a few adjustments to his bike during this red flag, maybe make it a little bit better.
So when they have the red flag, they can come in. They can work on that bike all they want except for no tire changes unless Dunlop says, hey, we need to do tire. That's not going to happen. But I'm saying that's the only thing they can't do, right?
Yeah, everything but tires. And if some reason you do have to do a tire change, let's say somehow you cut your tire or whatever, Dunlop has to be the ones to say he has to change tires, but if you do that, you start in the back.
Say there was fiber or a carbon or something that cut the tire or something like that we just don't see, and they know when they pull it to the line that would happen. So, all right, Ducati, the Warhorse Ducati team, they're talking it over, said, okay, we got to get a little bit better start. Well, we didn't see any issues going into that first turn. They're going to, look at that, they're already doing data dumps or they're watching video, one or the other.
No, they're looking at the data.
I mean, that's quick. I mean, they only got 2 laps around there, and they're saying, what can we do? What did we do, and how is it looking graphically?
Well, he's showing him right now what area he's struggling at the most. Was it an electronic something maybe going on? You know, sometimes with these electronics, sometimes you can have a sensor go wrong in there and bike get lost, not know where it is on the track. So he might be checking all the sensors, and you know, they got a good crew there, so they're going to be looking at everything. But you can see the urgency on his face, though.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, when they're looking at that, he says, hey, I think you can give me a little bit more right here, or let's back it up. I mean, this is their chance to do it. All they got to do is plug it up, take a little while for that data to get sent to the bike, and they'll go back at it. But might be everything that the number 9 needed here in Denilo Petrucci.
It's going to be a quick start once we get back going.
Yeah, we heard that race control is right next door to our position, not doing anything with that Yamaha. I mean, they're talking it over. Corn Dog there, no concern, not even talking to his rider. Jake's just sitting back going, I just need to give me that chance, get back out there. I talked to him the other day. Was it the ridge where he threw it away? Or he went down? No, Brainerd, yeah, at Brainerd. And he said, it was my fault. And a spooky portion of the track, but he's back to Jake mode right now, putting on his gloves, getting ready to battle. I mean, he's Muhammad Ali here in MotoAmerica. I mean, he just brings on all challengers.
He really does. And, you know, also, I mean, we've seen him today not get the whole shot, be aggressive right away, and make some passes where he needed to make some passes. And it's going to be interesting to see once we get this race going. It's a tricky turn one for where he's qualified on third. It's definitely not where you would like to be, where it funnels all down onto the inside.
That one moment when Jake snuck up underneath, I looked over you. I said, Cam was just a little bit too wide. Oh, now they're flying around. They're looking for – they need something they don't have. You saw the Ducati scramble around the outside. But in that particular turn, Cam was a little bit wider. Jake took advantage of that. And you're right. He surprised him at that last second. Like, oh, dang, his teammate can't lean in on that one.
Yeah, and, you know, like I mentioned when the red flag first came out, this place is not easy to pass. So whenever you see a spot, you gotta take it. And where they – like,
they're holding on a shifter on that left side. Their hands going in. I don't know if he's just doing
I don't know if it could be like a sensor.
I mean, they're looking for something, some part that they maybe something's not held tight. Didn't we see one time a shifter or something come in? Was that this year or was that Baz's bike last year? It was something that they had to do on the line. Well, no, they're doing a shock adjustment. J-Dub, they're throwing it on the O-Leans right now. They're doing pressures and adjustments. So they're actually making shock changes at the last second. That's what they're doing. Jason, I know, is down there. If he sees anything different, please let us know. They had the double warmers on. But, yeah, I think they were running back there for the to make that shock adjustment.
But they're going to get going.
Yep, they're ready to fire back up. I think that's what they were running back to get. They just didn't have it on pit lane. Not something you would do during a race unless there is a red flag. So a little bit of a rear pressure adjustment for that bike. And there's so many directions to go. I hadn't even talked about this. I was listening in on Richie Escalante's team, the Vision Wheels crew, just trying to, figure out stuff. There's so many ways you can go, Roger. And I heard them talking about, ride heights and stuff. Do I go higher ride heights? Do I go shorter ride heights? Do I go stiffer? Do I go softer? There's so many variables with this bike. I know he was talking about his lean. I feel like he felt like he was leaning way, way over. How do you correct that? What's an adjustment that would keep you from wanting, if I don't want to have to do that much lean to make a turn, what do I need to do to this bike to change that?
Well, you could maybe lower the front end and make it try to turn. I mean, there's a lot of different stuff. I mean, some people shorten the wheelbase. There's so many different things. That's why I talked about him moving up to Superbike. Why it's so confusing is there is so much that you can change, and what is exactly the right ones. And then, the big key is, if you make a change, obviously it's going to hurt another area.
Absolutely. That's where they were at. That's what they were talking about.
Where the bike's going to work good. So what do? You got to find something that's going to work pretty good all around the whole track.
If I shorten that front end and I'm having some front end instability to begin with, it's going to make it maybe even worse. Yeah, quite possibly. So, again, you do one thing and it affects the other. I know Josh Hayes, who's been riding Supersport this weekend, he was also talking about all the grip that they have on entry. So if you have all this grip on an entry and you're getting on the throttle, that tends to want to push the front end too when you get on that throttle, and that's something they have to, deal with mid-turn. Either way, Medallia Superbikes are lining up the best of the best.
Seen Hector Barber. Looks like he's going to make the restart.
He gets the restart, but he will start in the back. He's the reason that brought out that red flag. Correct. That is the case. And just in case this is a factor whenever we get, I know in other classes and one today in the baggers, if there happens to be a tie in the championship, what do you do for tiebreakers? Because we're so close right now. 1 point separates first and second. If there's a tie at the championship at the end, they go to race wins, right? That would be the first tiebreaker. If there happens to be a tie in race wins, they would go to second place finishes, third place finishes, and so on.
There's not going to be a tie for race wins this year, though.
Nope. Not going to happen. Not going to do it. Well, there's still 4 out there for Petrucci. But if he does that,
you want to take a bet?
No, but if he does that, he doesn't tie, right? I mean, right. If he does that, he doesn't tie.
Looks like Hector gets his grid spot.
What? Okay. Yeah. Hey, there's one
Maybe
position.
Because he didn't crash.
Maybe there's one position we would not do in this whole facility, right? And what's that? Race official.
Hopefully they got looks like they got it sorted out with something pretty small there.
Yeah, something wasn't
Look at that thumb rear brake. Did you see him pumping the thumb rear brake? You don't see a lot of those on a Superbike.
No.
Right down there, right under the. Look at that. can use that for wheelie control. With, you know, like that turn 4 up with a little rise there, you can do a little wheelie control.
Right.
Also, when the bike's, you know, like sliding around in some of the corners where you can't get the rear brake, or maybe the electronics isn't picking it up, you can take a little power away with the thumb rear
And that's
brake.
what we saw too. They were working on that left-hand side, and that's typically clutch, right? Well, I mean, that's where you
Or
just
maybe
saw
that
that.
thing was something
Yeah,
happened.
or that was it. And when something locked up, you know, that is probably what happened. But yeah, that's not typical that somebody would have that. How many times in your lifetime have you seen people run that brake?
A few.
Less than 5?
I would say close.
Yeah, in a lifetime.
Yeah, they're starting to come back a little bit. But now, I mean, you look at the MotoGP bikes, they have all kinds of different devices. I mean, it's
Got to be quick. I mean, look at Formula One. Those steering wheels don't look like they did back in the day either. You know, a lot of stuff going on there. Again, they're lining back up. It's the MotoAmerica Superbikes at New Jersey. It looks like a complete restart, but instead of the starting laps that they had earlier, they're going to be running 17 laps instead of the 20-lap original start.
All right, welcome back to New Jersey Motorsports Park, Medallia Superbike race number 1 under red flag conditions. And let's get right down to Jamie Howe, who may have an explanation as to what happened. Jamie?
Well, we saw the red flag come out after Hector Barbaro was stopped out on the racetrack. He did make his way back to pit lane, and the problem that he had out on the track was just lost all control of the rear end of that bike. It all locked up. He brought it in. Team looked at it real quickly. They had 4 minutes to switch out the master cylinder on that motorcycle. They only needed about 2.5. They got the work completed. A MotoAmerica technical official came over. They demonstrated that the new master cylinder was doing what it was supposed to do. He had control of the rear of the bike. They were able to send him back out there. He takes his original grid position, and his confidence is still high that they've got something they can fight with.
All right, so the master cylinder controlling the rear brake. So a little unusual there, but glad everything is working out okay. Because initially, Jay, when we looked at it, we're like, oh, I hope it's not the transmission or something.
Yeah, he couldn't push it though, could he?
No.
You could see him, the bike was locked up. So they got it back together. Let's get this restart going again.
17 laps for Medallia Superbike race number 1, restart. We're rolling. PJ Jacobson didn't get quite the launch he wanted to. Cameron Peterson gets another one as he has a look over his shoulder and sees the number 1 plate. So there goes Jake Gagne. He'll take over lead. But how about Petrucci? What a great launch from the Italian. Slots himself into 3rd. He was in 5th spot when the red flag came out. So Petrucci with a better shot at it this time, especially if he can hold on to it. And how about Matthew Skoltz on the Westby Racing motorcycle? He gets ahead of PJ Jacobson as well.
Yeah, PJ, unfortunately, in this scenario, was the loser in this one because he ends up 5th after running 3rd. Skoltz now, you can see, is trying to get himself past Petrucci. Remember, Greg, Skoltz started 4th as well in the last start, but Petrucci from the 2nd row this time beats the 11 down from the same row. He's going to run 3rd, but Greg, see this gap that's starting to appear? These 2 front runners, you can see Cam Peterson look over to the right, see his teammate coming up the inside as it went down the charts turn 1, and he let Jake Gagne take that position.
So some fresh and lean progressive Yamaha teammates. And looks like Matthew Skoltz is going to pass for 3rd spot.
Yeah,
good eye, Jason.
He got through there. I'm not exactly sure where that happened. It could have been coming up the hill or going into turn 7, but the 11 has made his way past the number 9 of Denilo Petrucci as well.
And really, when we look at this championship battle, starting this race, 1 point, the difference between Gagne and Petrucci is now PJ Jacobson on that M1000RR. Is he going to motor by that Ducati? No. Deep under brakes is Petrucci. That's his strong suit. But Jay, we've talked about it all season long, and we don't want to sound like a broken record, but for the Warhorse HSBK Racing Ducati New York team, every time I go talk to their technical staff, it's the same thing. It's about the compliance of the Ducati Panigale V4R on the American Dunlop tires versus how this motorcycle's developed. It just creates a lot of different issues over the course of the variety of racetracks that we have. Jamie?
And take it 1 step further, I talked to Denilo about that this morning, and he gave me a great explanation. He said it's like running in a pair of dancing shoes. You can still do it, the job, it can be completed, but you can't find that little bit of extra. The comfort factor isn't there, and that's really where they struggle. He said, I push and push and push, and it always feels like you're just going to lose it.
Yeah, and I mean, basically what we're talking about, Jason, is that the tires that this motorcycle is developed around are a lot softer than the tires that we have in the United States. And so you can develop the motorcycle to be a little bit stiffer to compensate for the softness of the tires. But the Dunlops that we use here in the United States, by nature, they're stiffer tires.
Yep.
So now you have a stiff chassis and a stiff swing arm with stiff tires, and that creates heat.
And that's where I was going to go with it. You have a stiff chassis to start with, and you know the thing for Petrucci, watching this motorcycle last year under the hands of Loris Baz, the bike did not look very good, unfortunately, around the track because of the bumps. You know, we might go to a place here at Barber where we've had a repave in recent years. Barber's going to be smooth. Petrucci's going to get along great with that place. The problem is with this track right here where these guys are going right now, I've spent a lot of time watching, that it just doesn't quite handle those bumps as well, and that's what you're seeing with Denilo right now. He is trying his absolute best. Now, that said, Greg, it looked like the team did make a jump yesterday from free practice 1 to our first qualifying session in the afternoon. I could see it look different. He was provisionally 3rd on the grid. Today he went back to 4th, but with that 1 lap, he can hang it out for 1 lap, but it is really hard for him to do that lap after lap. As you can see now, that battle at the front, Matthew Schultz is closed up on the 2 fresh and lean Yamaha R1s at the front. So Westby, fresh off signing that contract, has found himself in a nice spot here behind these 2 guys.
Not only that, yesterday was Matthew Schultz's birthday, Jason. He turned 30 years old. Is a South African. So, and he does the fastest lap of this part of the race. So a 1:20.7 for Schultz. He talked about it at the top of the show that he felt like he had race pace to compete for one of the top spots, and he's showing it right now as Gagne continues to lead the way. Last time by a 21.3, and Cameron Peterson right in tow. So Schultz closes up through turn 1 as they head off into turn 2, Hannah.
Greg, you mentioned he has great race pace. Yesterday, he felt like he got off to a slower start than he was hoping for. At Pittsburgh, they tried to make the bike a little bit calmer for him. He considers himself to be an erratic rider. He puts a lot of physical input into the bike, and the setup was just a little bit too soft for him yesterday. Today, added more power, a little bit less TC, and it seemed to work better for him. His main concern is not to lose too much time too early on. He knows that he's strong mid-race as long as he can start strong, and this restart certainly helped him.
Yeah, it definitely helped him, and he's right in the mix and also gives him a good carrot. Hannah talked about TC. That's traction control if you're new to motorcycle road racing, of which all these motorcycles up front are equipped with. Really reliant on electronics. If you're rejoining us here in MotoAmerica for road racing Medallia Superbike and you haven't been involved in the sport in the last 15 years, electronics have become a huge thing. Traction control, wheelie control, launch control, spin control. It's all there and available, just like you find on the automotive side of things. So, Jake Gagne, Cam Peterson, teammates on that fresh and lean progressive Yamaha, coming across the stripe with a 1-point lead in this championship. Jason, you and I have talked about it off camera as Denilo Petrucci, who's 1 point behind Gagne, is now drifting, already back 3 seconds away from this lead. It really feels like it's been Petrucci against the world, and what we mean by that is, look how many friends Jake Gagne has on the Yamaha side of things, and of course you throw an inline 4-cylinder ripper of PJ Jacobsen on that BMW, and the more people that Gagne can put between himself and Petrucci, the closer he gets to regaining the #1 plate.
Yeah, but don't be fooled. This championship's not done yet. I mean, we've seen a lot of twists and turns to our season, and right now he's got some guys in between. But if we have some weather tomorrow, that would be the best thing for Denilo Petrucci there. As you can see, he's trying to rebound and go up there and chase after PJ Jacobsen. He hasn't given up, Greg, and he won't. He's 21.9 that last time for Jacobsen, 22 flat for Petrucci. We're kind of getting in that stage now where we'll start to be able to see if PJ can keep those tires underneath him. And how about Hector Barbera just sitting back there behind Petrucci right now? Guy that thought he probably wasn't going to get any finish in this race is back there in 6th. And these guys are in the 21s, Greg, mid-21s now for the leaders. PJ Jacobsen was the only other person in the 21s that last time by. Gagne this time with a little bit bigger gap than we've seen. So we'll see if he can continue to just keep chewing these laps away. Hannah?
I asked Jake Gagne if he was feeling kind of a sense of urgency. You know, he had so much success last year with the championship, and this year the championship points are much closer. He said he's not really worried about it, but he knows that he made some mistakes earlier in the season. He can't give away too much. The goal is to just bring the bike home no matter what. He knows that with the points being so much closer, it hasn't affected his focus at all, though. He knows he just needs to win races.
Yeah, in addition to that, too, when I talked to him, Hannah, I asked him, like, is your team, have you guys talked about putting on your pit board, which is the communication device, where Petrucci would be in the race? And he said, no, you know, we are focused on just winning races, and we hadn't even gotten to that point. So Jake's really insistent that we do have 4 races to go. After this, there's only 3 races remaining in the championship, but they're not going to talk about where Petrucci is until it's really necessary, which they feel is the last round of the championship.
Yeah, well, you got to let things continue to play the way they have been. I mean, when Gagne gets set in his ways and just worries about one thing, which is hitting his marks and going out and winning these Medallia Superbike races, Greg, he's proven to be pretty successful at that. So I really like what I'm seeing, though, from Cam Peterson and Matthew Skoltz. You know, we're used to seeing Gagne by now have 2-3 second lead, 4 second lead. They're keeping him pretty honest. And, you know, 21 twos, 3s, and 4s amongst these 3 at the front. They're definitely splitting from the guys in the back. As you see PJ come across the line, him and Petrucci both go back into the high 21s this lap through.
What I find very interesting about this particular racetrack, New Jersey Motorsports Park, and the characteristics of it, you know, Jason, we talk in motorcycle road racing, especially in Medallia Superbike, about baseline settings for motorcycle. Do you have a good baseline setting? And that basically means when I roll this motorcycle off the truck, I have a few little tweaks here and there, little clickers. But I have never seen in this season alone the amount of work that the freshly and progressive Yamaha team has put together. They have made some really big changes. They went back to their setup from last year after session number 1 yesterday. They found out that it wasn't really the optimal setting for them. They couldn't get the grip, but the original setting they came with was too much effort to move the bike back and forth. And so now they've gone to kind of a hybrid setting. So there's a lot of work involved. And when I talked to Gagne said, listen, man, it's only 20 laps. I can work as hard as I need to for 20 laps. So I would rather have the grip in the front and the rear and work a little bit harder than have it easy and lose grip. But what's interesting, Jason, is the first time that we were at race, so the first flag, Gagne was able to do a 120.3 on his first lap. He's only been able to go 120.9. I wonder if the start and stop has changed a little something with his grip, because Cameron Peterson and Matthew Skoltz are right there.
Yeah, but you know, Greg, we got brand new tires, and there's a big difference for these guys. Start coming from you know, where they were at the beginning of the race, brand new stuff, and you can see Petrucci now has started to reel back in PJ Jacobsen. And getting back to your point, Richard Stamboli is never going to stand still. Like, as soon as he left here last year, he was already thinking of things that he can hopefully make the bike better going into the following season. That's just how his brain works. But look at Matthew. Matthew definitely looks like he's got a little bit of pace through that 3B and 3C area on Cam Peterson. You can see this gap, Greg, now is at half second. Then it looks like it's starting to stretch out a little bit more at the front. So Cam P has a look over, sees his fellow South African right behind him at the moment.
Yeah, these two really good friends off the racetrack. When the visors go down, it's all about that competition. And Matthew Skoltz, yeah, he rides a Yamaha, no question about it, but he flies the flag for Westby Racing, especially under that newly signed contract that he'll have for next season. So we know that Matthew Skoltz stays aboard, and we also know that Jake Gagne and Cam Peterson will stay put, as both riders running off of a 2-year contract as we look forward to 2023. So the battle for second place continues. Gagne is now starting to stretch it out a little bit further. No!
Escalante.
On the Vision Wheel M4X Star Suzuki, Richie Escalante, who didn't have the best qualifying performance. He was all the way back in 12th. I spoke with him before the race started, and he thought that the team gave him a little bit more feel and more front grip, and he was really optimistic to the race. He's going to exit the race. He was in 8th place at the time. So up from 12th to 8th was Richie Escalante in his rookie season in Medallia Superbike. Back to second place between Cameron Peterson and Matthew Skoltz. Jason, same motorcycle, different riding styles. What are you seeing for different lines or different approaches to New Jersey Motorsports Park?
Well, I just think that right now, Peterson doesn't seem as comfortable in the first half of the lap. He looks pretty solid the second half of the lap for Cam Peterson on the 45 here. Matthew kind of closes in on him in that first sector. And then by the time they get up through turn 8, 9, there's a good shot here when they go through this corner here. This is turn 7. Now from this point up, this is where you'll start to be able to tell the guys that are having kind of grip issues or not. Matthew's bike still looks like it's pretty well underneath him as they head up that hill, Hannah.
And Jason, you're exactly right. When I talked to Cameron Peterson during that red flag earlier on, he said he's struggling into left-hander into the S's. So if he can clean that up, he knows he'll be in better shape. But you were absolutely right. And you said he looks more comfortable toward the end of the lap. He feels really strong in sector 3 through that kind of flat, flowing type of track. Really suits his riding style.
And a lot of it, Hannah, looks like it's on tip in. As he tips the bike in, it doesn't look like he can do it quite as aggressive as Matthew Skoltz now has a look up the inside going into turn 1, made that look pretty easy, did the number 11. He's going to go ahead and, oh, Cam's going to fire right back up underneath him. Yeah, really like to see that there. But this is the area, Greg, if you don't have the confidence, you just kind of throw the bike from side to side here. If you feel like the bike's moving around underneath you off throttle, it makes you a little bit later getting on the gas. You want to let the bike get back in line a little bit, and that's what it looks like he's struggling with ever so slightly there.
So Cameron Peterson not willing to give up the spot to Matthew Schultz. Gagne with a 2.7 second lead over the two battling for second spot. PJ Jacobsen still in fourth spot, Petrucci on the prowl, and then Hector Barbera, who had stopped on racetrack, and that red flag came out because his bike was there, is in sixth place. Hayden Gillum, who qualified sixth and seventh over Ashton Yates, Jake Lewis, and Corey Alexander. Jamie?
Well, you look at the two Tytler Cycle BMWs of Hector Barbera and PJ Jacobsen, and the fact that they're both BMWs and the fact that they're the same colors is about where the similarities end. The two riders have very different riding styles, and with that comes very different setups and the way that they go about their race weekends. For Hector Barbera, he said his confidence is higher this weekend than it has been all season because this has been a building program. Each and every race weekend, there's one block put on top of the other, and this weekend they came in with some data. They came in with some new parts. They came in with some new confidence, and he's had his best lap times here. So having both of those bikes in the top 6 right now, it's going to be a good race finish for the Tytler Cycle BMW team, and something they can build off of for tomorrow.
Yeah, but definitely a tall task when you have two riders going in different directions. But Jason, looking at this battle moments ago, we saw Matthew Schultz. He had a big bobble on the rear end and lost a bit of time. As
he came out of turn 10, which is such a crucial area of the track, you want to get through turn 10 the best you can because that little run to the front straightaway is so crucial. And he just got shot up out of the seat in the transition from the left to the right. So you can see now, as much as he was pushing Cam before, he's fallen back just a little bit. This angle, this camera angle here will give us a really good view of how much the tires are spinning coming up that hill. So sometimes we get that rear camera view and you'll be able to see whose bikes are working a little bit better up it. So this is the area of the lap prior. Matthew's really tight in here. He gets in there nice and tight, but as he's put the power down to the ground between this left and the right, it got a little bit squirrely. This time it's a little bit cleaner.
So Matthew Schultz battling to stay in tow with Cameron Peterson at the moment, trying to figure out the tire wear and how the motorcycle's feeling as we get deeper into this race. 6 laps to go as Gagne came across the line, 3.4 seconds in the lead. This is the battle for fourth spot between PJ Jacobsen and Denilo Petrucci.
Man, Denilo was in there so deep going into turn 1. That's where this pass will happen next lap by if he stays this close. Danilo's rear wheel, and you have to excuse me, Greg, because I was actually looking out the window and not at the TV, and the rear wheel looked like it was about 2 feet off the ground going into turn 1. Petrucci, as we know, tremendously hard breaker. He's going to take a shot at him right here.
So there goes Petrucci, gets it done in that classic Denilo Petrucci style. The bike's got great acceleration, does this Ducati Panigale V4, but it's braking where Petrucci is so strong.
And Greg, let me tell you, he does something quite a bit different. If we keep on Petrucci for this full lap, and you can see here, his bike still looks really good. He's going to be going up there in third as Matthew Schultz has also made the pass. While that was going on between Petrucci and PJ, Matthew Schultz has made the pass on Cam Peterson as well. And you're going to see he sets him up now. This particular part of the track here on the left-hand side of our screen, even though Petrucci backshifted to second there, he hadn't been doing that in practice. He looked like he'd been rolling through here in third. He shifts up to fourth and back to third for turn 6. And I was out there earlier with Kyle Wyman. I was out there yesterday with another rider, James Rispoli, and we were trying to pay attention to see if he was really rolling through turn 6 and third, and it seemed like he was. There we saw him get a downshift because he was in tight and up underneath PJ Jacobsen there. He needed that extra little pull to get out of that corner and a little bit of extra slowdown.
Yeah, so that was
to get in there.
We were talking about, and it's good to have that tool in your toolbox, and he was able to use that second gear shift to get that done. Matthew Schultz works his way into second spot, now 4 seconds behind Jake Gagne, as Cameron Peterson now starting to lose a 10th here and a 10th there. But here's the guy, Gagne. He's been consistent. Jason, when he's out front, He is amazing. He's had a couple miscues this season, but doesn't look like it's spinning up too bad.
No, well, if you listen to what the Yamahas are doing, Greg, I can hear it. And Matthew just had a big moment there, and he's going to run a little bit wide, and he's going to allow Peterson back through. Don't know if that was a misgear or what kind of happened there, but it looked like the bike kind of jerked underneath him a little. And but the Yamahas, when they go down into turn 7, they backshift to second, and they short shift it up to third as they go up that hill. And that's going to allow that bike to not have quite as much wheel spin underneath them as they go up that hill. They're going to let the electronics control that.
Let's talk about short shift, Jay. What do you mean when we talk about short shift? As we see Schultz with his mistake right here.
Yeah, but it's weird. Like, what was the? Could you really see the mistake? That was a strange one there. I'd have to really talk to Matthew and find out what that is. Short shift just means, Greg, that you're not letting the bike run out into the higher RPM. So they don't want to let. They're going to use the back shift to help slow the bike down a little bit, control that apex speed at the bottom of the hill there in 7. Then as soon as they come through that, they're going to short shift it. And if we stay on the shot with these guys, you're going to see. I know Cam Peterson is definitely doing it. I could hear Gagne doing it just through the TV here. So he's going to come in to turn 18. He's behind Zach Butler now. Going to go by him. Zach moves out of the way. He backshifts there. And as soon as he tips the bike in, now you're going to see his left foot. He's going to go ahead and, we didn't hear it. We didn't see it, but we could hear it. Short shift to third, and he's going to go back to second right here. See that?
Yep.
So he's controlling the bike on the entry, short shifting on the way up the hill to let the bike roll and not have so much tire spin. Backshift to second for turn 9.
RPM so important in motorcycle road racing, more than a lot of motorsports, in terms of being able to control the speed and be in control of the motorcycle. Right, Jay? You always want to be connected to the engine.
Yeah, absolutely. I think RPM management to all these guys is such a key thing. And now with all of the benefits of data, being able to look at things and try things, being able to throw stuff at these motorcycles to see what might work best. As you can see here, these guys are in traffic now as goes by.
What, number
43? I think that's Michael Butler.
It is Michael Butler.
Yep, Michael Butler's son's just up the road in front of him. Zach there. So these guys now are in some traffic.
Yeah. So the 18 is Zach Butler. Obviously, both riders are St. Charles, Illinois, and the red line Moto Yamaha R1s. So our leaders ease on by, and when they do get to lap traffic is warned that the leaders are coming with a blue flag flying in the corner worker stations. But it seems that Matthew Schultz has started to gather it back up, Jason.
Yes.
After that mistake, he's starting to kind of find his rhythm again, and he's closing up. As Cam Pete, what was that? He had his hand off the bar?
Yeah, I didn't see it, Greg, to be honest with you. I was paying attention to something else there because it looked like there was a rider going slower just on the inside of the track there, and I wanted to make sure it wasn't Gagne, and it's not. So you can see these guys. You can see Cam's bike sliding around a little bit there on the exit of turn 9. So Matthew's going to be looking to take another shot for sure.
I really like the way that Cam P's R1 finishes the corner from 2 corners ago. He really gets it turned and pointed in the right direction. Onto the front straightaway they go. And really, that last sector is Cameron Peterson's strongest, Jay, I think.
Yeah, he looks pretty strong there, doesn't he?
Sector number 4. All right, so Gagne's got a 5.3 second lead now over Cam Peterson and Matthew Schultz. The second and third place riders is Schultz, with 2 laps to go, has got to start thinking about a place to pass Cameron Peterson. He's closing up.
We didn't see where he did it the last time. We didn't actually see where he passed Cam. So I'm not sure if it was into turn 5 or maybe turn 7. So that's what we're going to have a look at here. See where Matthew might be able to pull this gap down.
Of course, Denilo Petrucci back there in 4th spot, trying to reduce the points deficit to the first place rider in this battle for the championship. But then Cameron Peterson is 3rd in this championship. And for Cameron Peterson so far this season, he's had a win, 5 second place finishes, and 4 third place. So he's trying to convert this into his 6th second place finish. But Matthew Schultz, he's going to have something else to say about it. But now we're in the section of New Jersey Motorsports Park where Cameron Peterson seems to be really strong and has a lot of confidence. As he gets his motorcycle turn, they come onto the front straightaway, just behind Jake Gagne. As Gagne crosses the stripe, he'll take the white flag. 1 lap to go for the number 1 plate. Trying to get that maximum 25 points. And Gagne can put it on cruise control with a 5.3 second lead. What he doesn't know behind him is more than likely Matthew Schultz is thinking about a place to pass Cam Peterson, because Schultz wants that 2nd place spot to reward his team today for the contract he signed on Thursday. Back to the battle for second on this final lap. Over the bump they go. That wasn't the cleanest I've seen Campy do that.
It's not that it's not clean. It's just that he's got used tires and he's got the thing cranked over on the side. And he's just trying to defend right now. He's trying to clean this lap as good as he possibly can. And I don't know where Matthew, the only place I think Matthew can really try to take a shot is going to be coming up this here in a minute to turn 7. But Cam's got the measure of him right now as they head down there. Now out of here. There's that short shift that we talked about. Cam keeping it nice and tight up there. He's not going to let Matthew go up the inside of him as they roll into turn 9. Control that speed there. And now it's all about getting out of this all-important turn 10 as clean as you can. Look at Matthews really tight down the inside there trying to do something.
So here we go onto the front straightaway. Goes the battle for second. Our race leader already there. So here goes Jake Gagne. He comes across the stripe, will take victory. And the battle for second place is going to be won by Cameron Peterson, who holds off Matthew Skoltz. So it's going to be a 1-2 finish for the fresh and lean progressive Yamaha team.
Man, and Petrucci just barely holds off PJ Jacobson. So really good to see PJ be able to go that whole race distance there, keep that tire underneath him. But man, it's a Yamaha sweep.
Could be a couple of valuable points for Petrucci, who's able to hold off PJ for 4th place. So your race winner is going to get 25 points. And Jason, look at Jake Gagne's laps. Again, we have seen it. It's about those first 5 laps, putting it down, but still.
Lap 15, he's still in the 21s. So, I mean, he just ran a string of 21s there, and that's really what breaks these guys. And it was a distinct break, too, because it was like he did around a 21.8 there, and it was a 22.4 for the next guys. And you could just see where their tire drops definitely were about lap 8 there. But they're getting, you know, the thing is, Greg, we haven't seen them that close to him at the beginning of races and anywhere we've gone. And so they got to just keep chipping away like they did there.
All right, we'll step away. When we come back, we're going to talk to Jake Gagne and find out how that race went for him as he notches another victory.
Jake Gagne takes the win. Roger Hayden by about 4.5 seconds over Cam Peterson. Matt Skoltz finishes 3rd. Skoltz, I thought, had a really good shot of finishing 2nd. Something wasn't right in that shift. I don't know if he had a false neutral or what. You could see the attitude of the bike get a little funky and him grabbing an upshift. But something wasn't perfect for Jake Gagne either. Do you think the heat cycle, like the guys were talking about, it might have affected that bike?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, sometimes some tracks, you know, the heat cycle affects it, and sometimes it doesn't. But it looked like it affected him more. You know, before the red flag, he was doing 20.3s, and then, you know, in the race, he did a 20.9, and then he went a little bit slower. He got into the mid-21s, almost the 22s, and you never see Jake really back off that much, and looked like the heat cycle kind of, you know, maybe took a little bit of a hit. And that's just the way it goes. And the thing is, it's the same for everybody. If it happens to Jake, then everybody else is going to happen. And once that heat cycle happens and you start to lose that grip, then it's never going to come back. So for him, he managed that race early, and then, you know, mid-race kind of checked out. So it was a great ride by Jake. And also, great ride by Matthew Skoltz. I mean, he's been off pace all weekend, bottom line. And
can't fault his starts, can you?
Great starts, that one mistake. But for him, really stepped up when the race came today. And also, you know, I was talking about PJ before the race. Can he be consistent all the way through the race? Well, if you look at his lap times, those last from laps, you know, 12 to almost toward the end, he was doing the same lap times as Cam Peterson and Matthew Skoltz. He just lost too much in the beginning.
Yeah.
So definitely that was a big improvement for those guys, and it was good to see.
Well, Jake looks happy, doesn't he? I mean, a win still gets you 25 points, but he looks at Denilo Petrucci back there in 4th place. He only get 13. He made up 12. He's got a 13-point advantage now in the championship, so he can feel a little better about today's win. At one point when Petrucci was in 5th spot, I looked at you and I said, if it stays like it is now, 1st and 5th, then Jake could finish 2nd at the remaining 3 races and still win the championship. That didn't happen, but, I mean, at one moment, that could have.
And then also, we're talking about rain tomorrow.
Yeah.
This gives Jake a little bit of flexibility tomorrow. If it's like, you know, sometimes when it rains here, this track can be pretty slick.
Yeah.
So this gives him a little bit of flexibility where he really doesn't have to go out and win and take a lot of risk. Where
Right.
Denilo has to win races now.
Yes. Yeah, there's 13 points now. If it was a first or second differential, you know, he could possibly lose 5. But you're right. If Denilo was right there, it would still be tight. All of those guys are very good in the rain. All of them have won rain races. I mean, think about it. Scorsese, Peterson, Gagne, Petrucci, those top 4 have all done. There's the CFE crew, the wing nuts of the West or the East. Doesn't make a difference. They're just wing nuts. Hey, I thought I saw an ambulance down there this morning. I'm like, oh, I hope we don't have a CFE guy down.
Probably El Duque.
What happened?
No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, okay.
But if it's one of them, it's going to be El Duque.
Yeah, I was like, what happened? Because I could have swore I saw flashing lights down there with them. They're over there at that crossover bridge. Yeah, they're loaded. They're a crazy group and fun to be around. Everybody knows that Cam Peterson, he finished his second, but it feels like a win when you're around them. They're doing Yamaha chants. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Did you see how happy? That's probably the happiest I've seen Matthew Skoltz with a 3rd place finish.
Struggled all weekend, turned it around for the race.
And still, there's another race to go tomorrow in Medallia Superbike class. Up next will be the Twins Juniors.
Medallia Superbike coverage is sponsored by Medallia, the pioneer in customer and employee experience. By Dunlop, the official tire of the MotoAmerica Championship Series. And by Geico, where 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on your car or motorcycle insurance.
Celebrations getting go with the CFE crew, craziest fans ever, as Jake Gagne and Matthew Skoltz have some words of congratulations. Take a look at these results as Gagne, Jason Pridmore, he notches his 28th career Superbike win. He's only been winning since last year. And then you have Cam P and Matthew Skoltz, Petrucci in 4th. That's a points difference right there. But let's get right down to our winner, Jake Gagne. He's with Hannah.
And Greg, it's Jake Gagne's 11th victory of the season. Jake, how crucial was it not only to win this race, but to have 2 Yamahas between you and your championship rival, Denilo Petrucci?
Yeah, it's a great day for Yamaha, great day for the team to go 1, 2, 3, and man, I mean, we couldn't ask for anything better. Yeah, always a bummer to get a red flag there at the beginning, but got off to a better start second time around, and yeah, it's a great race. This Yamaha's been working good all weekend, and you know, again, we're just trying to win races, and if we keep doing that, in the end, it'll all be good. And so hats off to Fresh and Lean, Attack Performance, Yamaha, all the guys working their butts off as always, giving me an amazing motorcycle. Hats off to all the fans here, man. This place is really, really packed, and it's great to see. So hopefully we put on a show. Hopefully we get some good racing in tomorrow. We'll see what the weather does. And Arai helmets, Alpine Stars, everybody out home, Progressive, again, Fresh and Lean, Yamaha, Attack, all these guys, man. Great day.
Cameron, Peterson, and Matthew Skoltz were able to stay a lot closer to you for a lot longer for this race than we've seen throughout the season. With that in mind, and potentially the factor of the weather tomorrow, how does that kind of change things for you?
Like you said, yeah, I saw +0 on the pit board for a while, and I knew it was Cam behind me. I could see his pit board. I wasn't sure who was in 3rd, but it was fun. You know, I knew I couldn't break away right away, and obviously it's still a long race, still 17 laps, so I just kind of wanted to get into a bit of a rhythm, and yeah, there was a couple laps there maybe where they maybe made a little mistakes, and I was able to just inch away and then kind of just keep clicking them off. But yeah, again, hats off to these guys, hats off to Yamaha, great day, and we'll see what happens tomorrow.
Jake Gagne, today's race winner. Let's get over to Jamie Howe with 2nd place.
In 2nd place today, for the 6th time this season, goes to Cameron Peterson. On the initial start of the race, Cameron, you were able to make quick work of it, take over the lead. You stayed with Jake once he passed you back. What was different after the restart?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to lie, after yesterday I was in a pretty rough place. But yeah, the team did an unbelievable job. I mean, we made, I think, most changes we made all year, and came out with the bike this morning that was completely different and ready to win races. So I think that was a big difference. And then, yeah, and the restart, I just felt really good with the heat cycle tire and all of that stuff. And I learned a lot from Jake, following him a little bit in certain spots. So I was able to pick up on some stuff, but I'm really happy with that ride, you know. Yamaha going 1, 2, 3. I think that's what we wanted. We needed it for the championship, and congrats to these boys. You know, I haven't had a battle with Matty in a long time, you know, so the fact that me and Matty were out there battling was pretty damn cool. And yeah, let's go do the same tomorrow, and let's just keep extending this championship lead, and on to Barber. Here we go.
There have been points this season where you've been pretty low with the performance that you were being able to put in on the racetrack, but now at this point in the season, we're wrapping things up, and your confidence is much higher. The mental fortitude that takes, what has this progression been like for you?
It's just been such a fun year, and you know, when you run up front and you're able to see what the guys are doing up front, it just builds confidence no matter what. So I think the fact that I've been able to run up front a lot this year has helped my mental attitude out a lot, and now I know what to expect, and I need to be at the front. So I'm so happy, and you know, we got everybody out here, we got all the fans. I mean, it's packed out here this weekend, so thank you to everybody. I love New Jersey, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Congratulations on another second place. Hannah?
Third place today goes to Matthew Scholz, and it was a tight battle for third. Jake and Matt are just reviewing the race here now. Matt, quite the battle with your fellow South African Cameron Peterson. A bit of a birthday podium for you. You got around him, but maybe something happened there. You ran a little bit wide, allowing Cam back by. Created quite a lot of work for you in those final laps. What happened?
Yeah, we chose the softest front tire, and you know, from lap 5 to lap 12, I felt really good. I was able to close up on the guys and not really felt like I was pushing too hard. And then the last 4 laps, I got past Cam, and I tried to kind of up the pace slightly, and almost lost the front a bunch of times, especially in that long right-hander. I mean, I thought I was going down there. And then Cam passed me, and you know, I just wasn't able to get past him after that. But it's absolutely awesome battling with him. You know, we've been friends for so long, and just to be out there riding superbikes with the top teams in the country is just awesome stuff for us, really. And just one more thank you to the Westby Racing team. You know, I signed my 2023 contract on Thursday, and happy to be coming back for one more year.
Congratulations, Matthew Scholz, rounding out your Superbike podium.
All right, I'm sure that it'll be more years than that if he continues to ride like this. We'll continue our coverage from the Jersey Motorsports Park after this.
You see Matty running around with a smile on his face. Again, he'd mentioned signing that contract with Westby for next year. Look forward to that. We're seeing good progression throughout the season. It started off well for Cam Peterson. We're seeing Jake Gagne. He was strong here, you know, dominated last year. I don't know that he dominated as much today, but he's well on his way to getting that second title. He just needs to keep doing what he does, and keep it on 2 wheels tomorrow. Hopefully we won't have a restart. That tire won't be affected whatsoever, and just keep giving it hell. Yamaha's looking good this week.
Yeah, looking really well. Sweep the podium. I mean, they do have a lot more bikes than everybody else, but yeah, they're looking good. And you know, Jake was really smart today. It was a championship ride. You know, when the tire has a heat cycle like that, and everybody's sliding around a lot, it can be easy to make a big mistake trying to get away, trying to break the group. And when they don't have the grip, he spent the first 3 or 4 laps just kind of figuring it out. Got in that rhythm, and then just slowly pulled away.
And you heard Matthew Scholz say he said that he went with that softest option for the front, and everything was great until it wasn't there towards the end. Again, things happen at a quick pace when you're going 100-some-odd miles an hour on these Medallia Superbikes. One more break for the guys next door. We'll send it over to them.
Race 1 highlights from Medallia Superbike today, where Jake Gagne won, but JP, this was the initial start before the red flag.
This was. You can see P.J. Jacobson muscling his way around the outside to take that 3rd spot, but Gagne muscles his way up underneath his teammate on the opening first couple of laps. We had a red flag. When we came back, this time, P.J. didn't get as good of a start. Petrucci did. Matthew Scholz and Cam Peterson would just battle the whole time. These guys kept Gagne really honest at the beginning of the race, but Gagne in his normal self just kept plugging those laps away, Greg, running in the 21s all the way up to lap 15 of 17, cruising along. He's taking this win today over Cam Peterson and Matthew Scholz.
So let's take a look at how the whole standings have shaped up. So we had 1 single point, the difference between Gagne and Petrucci. Now we have 13. Lucky 13, Jason.
Yeah.
If you're a numerologist, you might be a little nervous about tomorrow's race. I guarantee you Gagne is not. And then Cameron Peterson still in a nice position in 3rd spot in this championship. Although Scholz did tell me earlier today that he's got his eyes forward. He wants to battle Cameron Peterson for 3rd in the championship. But time is running out because we only have 75 points left, Jason.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that just moving on to tomorrow, it's a big question mark right now with the weather. And I know there's one guy, that number 9, Denilo Petrucci, was an amazing rider in the wet. So we'll see what happens.
It's going to be very exciting to see what the weather brings, as well as all the changes made to the motorcycles. And we'll be here in Millville, New Jersey for race number 2 of Medallia Superbike. For Hannah, Jamie, Jason, I'm Greg. Thanks so much for joining us. See you soon.